Hello, welcome to the show. It is, what's the date today? It's the 8th of November. Jeez, it's almost going to be Christmas soon, and that's really, really scary, but also kind of exciting, I suppose. Anyway, welcome to the show. It's episode 240, which is a nice, lovely round number. And as you can tell, we've got a special guest coming in very, very shortly. Homages are already being paid via the Matrix Brute. But before we get to all of that and to introduce our guest and our co-hosts for the day, let me just do the usual rubbish and get the stuff out of the way, such as, please like, comment, subscribe and share, because we love to be shared around, and likes and comments and subscriptions always help the channel. So if you could like the show during the show, as we've been saying the last few weeks, it does make a difference in terms of how much YouTube spreads the love around. So if you can give us a thumbs up or even a thumbs down if you really don't like what we're doing, that's fine, but it's engagement nonetheless, and apparently that's YouTube's main sort of feeding thing. Anyway, give us a comment underneath the video if you're watching on catch up, but of course if you're watching live, you can leave a comment in the chat, whether you're watching on YouTube, Twitch or Facebook. Of course, we're broadcasting on all three of those platforms, and so you can leave a comment on those. They will appear in our feed, and we will pop them onto the screen if we feel that they are relevant. And if you have a question, particularly for our very special guest tonight, but also for the rest of the show, put a big capital Q in front of that, and that would be make our lives easier in terms of picking them out from the noisy thing that is the chat, and we can then just pop those over to one side and bring them in as we get to that point. As I said before, like, comment, subscribe and share. You can do all of that stuff, and that helps our channel. But what also helps, and I'm not begging here, apparently I beg, but I'm going to say I'm not begging here. You don't have to do this, but if you'd like to, you can subscribe to our Patreon page, patreon.com/ProSynth Network. It's a mere minimum of $2 a month, and for that you get lots of extra content. You get video exclusives, you get sound patches for your synthesizers and stuff like that, and we've got loads of plans for more as we go along. So you can do that, or you can subscribe as a YouTube channel member. Same price, minimum $2. You get all of that free content as well as an extra to a free 2-hour weekly show of old men talking about synthesizers. What more could anybody want? If you want to find us on social media, we're also across all of those: YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, Instagram, Threads, and yes, even TikTok, although that I'm pretty much giving up on because I don't think we're really getting much traction there, but we try nonetheless. We've also, as you might have seen last week, we've now got merch. We can actually do merchandise, and so if you want to cover yourself, adorn yourself with stuff that's got our logo on, here's our store, ProSynth Network. We've even got Christmas jumpers just added a couple of hours ago. If you want a ProSynth Network Christmas jumper, because who doesn't want a Christmas jumper, they are there to buy, although you must get your orders in depending on your preferred shipping method. I think it's like next week for guaranteed before Christmas Eve, and then the week after, there we go, November 15th for standard shipping, express shipping November 23rd. So get your, if you want a Christmas jumper, there it is. Look at that wonderful ProSynth Network logo across a lovely Nordic style Christmas jumper. And there's loads of other stuff. I put loads of other stuff on there over the last few days, such as the crossbody bag, or a men's handbag, I don't know. There's dresses for the lady in your life. There's pet collars.
I want that dress.
Well, I'd love to see... No, I wouldn't love to see you in that dress.
No.
There's laptop bags. There's pet collars. There's the... And I don't know if I told you this last week, but we've officially named our vest tops the Justin Have You tanks, because Justin is a legendary tank top wearer. He's one of our regular viewers, and so we thought we'd name it after him. We are currently also working on the Keith in Watford Orange collection, which we will do fairly shortly. But it's all a giggle. But of course, we take a little cut of all of that, and it all helps to keep the channel going in terms of equipment and license fees, and being able to travel around the country as we have been this year, taking lots of vintage synthesizers to put in the hands of you guys in the public, whether it's at Bristronica or Synthfest or Synthesized or Synth East, which is our next one next year. So there you go. There's the merch shop. And thank you to everyone that has bought so far. Can I just point out, Mal Meehan from Cherry Audio has received his T-shirt and mug. There we go. Homegrown, also known as Stee. There he is in his lovely orange T-shirt. The brilliant Scott Macaulay of Scott Macaulay Sounds with his T-shirt and mug. Keith in Watford didn't want to show his face, but he did want to show his lovely accoutrements adorning his Matrix Brute there. Astrolab box in the background as well. Look at that. And our very own ASIO Head, a.k.a. Bert, with his T-shirt. So if you've bought anything, take a picture, share it with us. We'll share it with the world. We love to see them. Thank you ever so much. And that's enough about the merch. I might only mention it once or twice more during the show. I'm a little excited about it. It's very cool. Anyway, so I think that's pretty much everything that we need to get out there. Don't forget, we've got Synth Inspirations coming up later in the show, where one of our viewers sent in a video and told us what inspired them to get into synthesizers, what albums, what songs, what pieces of music. Before we meet our special guest, I need to bring in the noisy people you can hear in the background. First of all, Mr. Andrew Longhurst.
Synth Inspirations. Buy that merch. Buy that merch.
Yeah, let's do new jingles. How do Ecky Thump? What's with the flat cap?
Because my hair's a fucking fright. That's
okay.
Why. It's an absolute fright. So I was busy dogging yesterday, which is why it's so frightful.
Okie dokie.
I was dogging.
I know, you were surrounded by them. Yeah.
Ken will tell you, I was dogging. It was brilliant. My cats haven't forgiven me since I got back because they stink of dogs. And can I just check for any guests that happen to be appearing today? Would they be okay to perhaps share some merch of their own? I don't know.
I'm sure we'll put some stuff. Yeah.
If they had something that they wanted to sell some of or something.
I'm sure we'll be selling a few things on behalf of our guest today.
I think we will.
I blooming well hope so. Yeah, anyway, good to see you, mate. Late as ever, but we'll bring him in on his own. There he is, cleaning his glasses.
Showing his
What?
Mr.
Spong, how are you?
Slightly better than I was.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Did you manage to fix the 8 voice?
Yes.
Oh, at last.
Oh, good.
Yes.
Fantastic.
It now CVs.
Yay. Have you got your little handbag there as well? You got your
Yeah, I've got
handbag?
my little baby handbag.
Oh, it's cute, isn't it?
Cute, isn't it?
Anyway.
Yeah. Yes.
Otherwise, all well?
Yeah, everything seems to be ticking over. Nobody's died.
Hello, Siri.
Siri.
What? Yeah, so I've got no minted lamb. Go away.
Bad.
That minted lamb you were eating. Have you got any more? No, I haven't. Or chips. Sorry. Yes. Yeah, I got the 8 voice going, which so panic over.
Good.
Since the auction finishes tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, cool. Yeah, it has. There's a secondary power supply under the programmer panel.
Oh, okay.
Would have been nice if it was on the schematics, but there you go. The other thing was I discovered that because I think this thing was built in 73, 74.
Okay.
Wow.
And on the programmer board there's where there should be a transistor, there isn't, but on closer inspection I found that it had never been fitted since it was built.
Oh, wow.
So so let's just say the vibrato works a lot better now than it's ever done.
Amazing.
Yeah, because they forgot to put one in. So there you go.
Spooky stuff.
Yeah.
Anyway, there you go. Well done. Congratulations. And I think we've only got one more thing to do, and that's to introduce our very special guest, who I am just like bursting at the seams.
Steady.
I adore this guy. I adore his work. He's a beautiful human being, and he's graciously decided to spend about 90 minutes with us today, which is just make the most of this, because it is the one and the only, the legend that is Jem Godfrey, everyone.
Yay!
How you doing, sir?
Well, I've never had an intro that fabulous in my life. Thank you very much.
I did tell you that I would be blowing a huge ton of smoke up your proverbial backside today. So
Is this because you got a credit on the album?
It is because I got the credit on the album. It's absolutely because I got the credit on the album.
That explains a lot.
No, seriously, mate. We'll be talking about the album shortly, but welcome.
Thank you very much. Lovely to be here. It's been a while.
It's great to have you. It's been too bloody long. I think I can't remember. It's about 2 years ago.
2 bloody years.
Yeah, jeez.
Wow.
Anyway, it's nice to also, as was mentioned pre-show, to have a guest who's surrounded by more synthesizers than maybe some of us have got. Is this your little domain? This is now your writing spot.
Yeah, this is my lair.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Would you like to give us a mini guided tour?
What we got here? We got
Jupiter 8.
Yeah, Jupiter 8. Jupiter 8 here.
Oh, yeah. Hello.
Something above it that, yeah.
Hello.
Is that one I've broken in the past?
Possibly, yes.
Sorry, worked on.
Series 3, which you helped.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
What else have we got here? We've got Muse.
Moog Muse.
Ooh.
What I say, do you know what? I love this.
Yeah.
It's brilliant.
It's good, isn't it?
Brilliant. There was here an Emacs until about 6 hours ago. That's now having a SSD drive put in it.
Oh, lovely. Yeah, good choice.
Solo 42 drone machine.
That's
very
nice. I played with that at Superbooth. That is really, really nice.
They're lovely. Over there, just a Keystep Pro, which controls the modular, basically.
Oh, you're into that now.
A little bit of that, a tiny bit of that.
Yeah.
And then down here's a couple of racks. I've got an S950, S3000, and a couple of other bits and bobs, really.
Nice.
Dresses, lots of distresses.
Because the last time I spoke to you, you were getting properly into the 37 key Korg stuff, weren't you?
Yeah, sold all that. Brilliant.
You sold it.
Yeah. What's the 37?
The wave states.
Wave states. Yeah, they were brilliant. I did them with the tour. They were great for the tour, and then I got back and there's now the plug-in. So
Okay. Fair enough. Also, just discreetly behind you, behind the lovely beamage that you've got there, there's a white CP70 or 80.
Yeah, CP70B there.
Oh, look at that. And it's white.
Yeah, white Tolex.
Gosh, look at that.
Might be for sale on some reputable auction site.
Oh, that we might mention later. Yeah.
I think I can guess why as well.
Because of what?
You can't, obviously, with all those keyboards, you can't afford to put proper walls up on all those beams. That's the problem, isn't it? It's a real problem for us.
Not enough room for the wattle and daub.
It's a lovely looking space you got there.
Yeah.
Very much indeed.
Yeah.
It's warm. It is
absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, listen, brilliant to have you as always, and we're going to make the most of the fact, the time that we've got you here. And if anybody does have any questions for Jem, and I'm sure there are going to be loads, please do stick them into the chat. Make sure you put a big capital Q at the front of it. We'll stick those in. If you want to make donations, we do give you a shout out. For some reason, this nerd he's on the show and he donates to the show. He's a pillock. But there you go. Thank you very much indeed, Andrew. And of course, the wonderful Nick Howes, who I got to meet a few weeks ago at Bristronica. A very storied and journeyed gentleman within the synth world in terms of particularly Yamaha, but other companies besides. And he's got loads of great tales to tell. But thank you very much indeed for your donation, Nick. It's much appreciated.
How was Bristronica?
Sorry?
How was Bristronica? Was it good?
It was. Do you know, it was okay, but they stuck us right at the back, and it's all modular. Really, that's not me, as you can tell. It's just not me. But we had a great time because we took a whole bunch of.
I just have to do this.
Yeah, please, yeah. Would you? Thank you.
There we go. It's not there.
Superb. No, but we took a whole bunch. Myself and Peter James Stephen. We took a whole bunch of vintage emulators. So we had a 1, a 2, a 3, a 4, and the Emulator X with Peter's Vampire rack, which was a custom. RAID array and Windows computer that ran Emulator X.
Wow.
Liquid cooled and all that. We took an Emacs 2, a Drumulator, and then Sonic Mirage, a Casio RZ1. So just lots of vintage emulator stuff. And of course at Bristronica, on the stall next to us, was the one and only Dave Rossum.
Yeah, Dangerous Dave.
So it couldn't really have got much better than that. So yeah, it was really cool.
Is he a nice guy? Cool. Is he a nice guy?
Sickeningly so, yeah. I mean, you sometimes you want these people to be arseholes, and they're just not. They're the complete opposite. I know.
Dave's just a proper engineer. He just loves. Yeah. He'll talk to anyone about engineering, and he'll share his knowledge because that's what engineers do. He's just a lovely, lovely man.
When I wheeled the emulator, I was the last to arrive because, excuses. And I wheeled the emulator one in on its pneumatic wheeled trolley, and he turned around and went, "Oh!" and a little glint in his eye because I don't think he'd seen one for years. And when we opened it up to look inside, he just started telling stories about all the boards and how he designed this bit, and it was just a brilliant experience. So yeah, but as a whole, Bristronica is a great show, but very modular, very modular. But we'll probably do it next year. I don't know. We'll see. Anyway, I think we need to start somewhere, and I think we might as well start with this.
Oh, that old thing.
That's a good thing.
This is Life in the Wires, the brand new album by Frost, of course, which is Jem's baby. It is, and I mean this sincerely, it's one of the best albums of the year, and there's not much of that left to go, so I say that with some authority. It's also one of the best albums you've done with Frost, and you've done really good albums with Frost, but this one it's just stunning stuff. Congratulations.
Well, thank you very much. I really appreciate that.
Where did Life in the Wires start?
Oh, that's a good question. It started on a walk, I think. I'd like to sort of walk around and I come up with ideas and think about things. I was always got my phone, so it's always like I've always got these messages, these weird sort of voice memos, like idea for a song, and then there'll be like a load of wind, so all you hear is. And I get back to it and think, okay, well that went well. But one of them was I was just said Life in the Wires because I just came up with it. I thought that's an interesting sort of name. So yeah, it just kind of I just sort of sat on it and I thought, what would that mean? Yeah, how would that work? And I've always loved old radios, old AM radios, and those world radios and long wave and all that kind of stuff. And as a kid, my parents had this, the classic turn the handle and the thing would go along and you get all the different kind of stuff. And you'd get these little snatches of like different languages and bits of music and strange, and it's like this whole world, on the radio. And I remember I've always loved that. I've always been fascinated by that. And of course, you get the number stations. You've heard about the number stations.
Yes, yeah.
The kind of the secret agent.
That's it.
555, and then like sort of like and it's all kind of really weird, but they're real. It's not like. That's what was so weird, and it's just that idea that radio is so populated with life, really, and all these different worlds and all these different people doing all this different stuff. It was just that I kind of had the idea of what if there's somebody out there who only you can hear. That if you turned it and suddenly this voice went hello, you'd be like, It was kind of that, and that was just how it all started, really. So it was, and there was such a kind of rich sort of seam of ideas I was thinking about. I could just sort of writing, and I was going through my phone and had all these ideas, and I thought I might have enough for a double album here. And of all the kind of Frost albums before, it's never felt like the material or the idea would sustain 2 discs, or whatever it's 86 minutes of music. And so it was the idea that I always wanted to have a double album in the repertoire for the band, but I did. With this, it was more like when I was growing up, and I had Out of the Blue by ELO, and you'd open it up and you take the discs out and flip it. It was very much an idea that I wanted it to be 4 sides of vinyl. That was always in my head how it was going to be formatted, which is what sort of. So it was just basically that.
You seem to have gone very quiet.
Yeah. Sorry.
Oh.
Let me just check your. Sorry. Yeah. It kind of just started to drop out a little bit. Let me just check your. So yeah. There you go.
Hello.
Can you just maybe give us a bit more dB on your mixer or something?
How's that?
That's a bit better.
That's weird.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, yeah. Come close to.
So I'll do that. I'll eat the mic. How's that? Is that better?
There you go.
So it's kind of
eat the 414.
Eat the 414. Eat the 414. So it was just an idea. It was just an idea to have a double album, really, and yeah, the kind of the idea of the 4 sides was it made it easier to write, because I needed to, like, I was doing one little 22-minute race rather than a big marathon of all this stuff. So
yeah.
Can you still hear me all right?
Yeah, seems to be fine. Well, wait for the chatties normally tell us if somebody's a little bit quieter, but
After 30 years of doing this, I should be able to use the microphone.
We have it all the time. It's fine.
So that was kind of it, really.
Yeah.
And then it was just a question of I hold myself up for 5 months and just had a play in here, and it was brilliant. I loved it.
Yeah. So when you're writing this stuff, I mean, I've got two questions. First of all, the whole ideas thing, when you're walking down, maybe you're walking the dogs, or you're just having go for a bit of fresh air, you get an idea. Are you humming melodies, or is it just verbal things that you put into that? And then when you're writing this stuff in the studio, obviously you're writing for a band. Are you like writing all the parts, or are you just coming up with the basis of the song, in the demo form, and then taking it to the rest of the band and say, right, let's see what we can do with this?
It was a bit of both. I mean, I think it was because I played quite a lot of it because I play a bit of guitar and a bit of bass, and I had a lot of it actually I wrote on the CP70. That was one of the big. I just kind of sit down and you're practicing your scales, and then maybe you come up with a couple of chords and have a play around, and then you improvise something, and then out comes the phone, but it was basically just little bits gathered over the course of a year, and then I just basically went through and I thought, well, idea 1 works with idea 4, and if I change the pitch of idea 9, that's kind of a verse and bridge, and so it just you sort of put it together really, just like piecemeal, and then with the sort of guitar parts and stuff, it was just a question of I would kind of guide something, and then the musicians would come and do a much better job. So it was that.
Now, nice little segue. Can we talk about the musicians on this album? Because this is probably the longest serving lineup of the band, which has had a few changes, but of course you're always the the central focal point and the constant within that. But Craig, John, and Nathan are like. Is this now Frost set in stone?
Well, yeah. I mean, Craig, because obviously Craig didn't do the last album. He was a bit too busy being fabulous with Wilson and Steve Hackett and people like that. So this was kind of he did the tour. We did this tour for the previous album, and so basically he came back out on tour with us, and we had such a laugh. The old unit back together again. That he just sort of said, "Oh, can I, if you're doing another album, I'd love to plan it." I went, "Mate, of course." Yeah. When do you want to start? So it was this is kind of, I suppose, the band refer to it as the classic lineup.
Yeah.
I think as long as I keep paying the invoices, they're interested. Basically.
And is there or are there chances of? I'm going to ask this now because I will forget. Is there going to be a tour to support this?
I hope so.
Good. I hope so too.
Because it's just about cost and and how we do it, and certainly we'd like to get across over to Europe and back to America, and we've never played Japan. We'd love to go and play in Japan.
Oh, that'd be cool.
But it's just paperwork, and all the usual bollocks.
Yes,
I suppose one of the a lot of people have talked for the last few years about the whole issue with Europe and touring there since a certain notable event happened a little while back. It looks like that might be getting cleared up over the next year or so. So touring will suddenly become a lot easier again. Is that something which you're looking forward to, or I'm sure you're hoping for? Is it something which you would look forward to?
Definitely, yeah. I mean, if it can not be just such a load of ball ache, because I mean, we did one show in Holland last year, and I had to write down the colours of the 1/4-inch cables I was taking.
No way.
And if mono audio cable red 3 meters. I mean, come on.
Bonkers.
I know, and it's things like that you just it was just a nightmare, And then we did all this. We filled out the carnet and got it all done. I think it was 750 quid. This is for one show in one place. And our driver guy, our tech and driver, got down to the port, and they didn't even check it.
Oh,
it's just like
it's just it is absolutely bonkers. But yeah, as Andy said,
that's just for one territory. So for every territory you go to across Europe, you got to do the same thing each time, and it's just
each time.
It's insane.
It's crazy. Hopefully, I mean, I've seen talk that our current administration are looking to make that easy, because it is just ridiculous, and so many bands now are just hamstrung by
and you've got that, and you've got venues closing as well. It's a tough time. It's a tough time for people who depend on performing live. And I'm very lucky I don't have to do that. But there are people like Craig, for example, and touring musicians. If it's impossible, it's restraint of trade, and all we're trying to do is be entertainers. It's just like the arts have been completely. Anyway, I don't want to go on a rant.
No, but it's... No, go on a rant. Go on a rant. That's fine. We like rants here.
I was going to say about you talked about Craig, Nathan, and John. What did they bring? What did they bring specifically to life in the Wires? I mean, I obviously know that John co-wrote on a couple of songs, I think.
Yeah. They were.
What did they bring to the mix? Because obviously this is your baby at the end of the day. But what do they bring to that maybe you can't do on your own?
Well, they bring, because they're such brilliant musicians. They just bring sort of quality. You know what I mean? It's sort of there's me. I mean, I can bang away and play a few bits and bobs and sing and stuff, but. When you get Craig into it and Nath. I mean, obviously he's Nathan King. He's Nathan King. He's from the King dynasty.
Yeah.
And it's. I mean, the thing that was brilliant about Nath's bass parts is I would send him the tracks and he'd go, all right, yeah, fine, and I would get 2 days would elapse and then a WAV would arrive on email, and it was basically I would just literally, I swear to you, I'd take the WAV, stick it in Pro Tools, and that's it.
Really?
Because you just know it's all going to be brilliant, and it was all beautifully, it was compressed, and the tone was right, and I didn't do a single bit of editing. He just plays. He knows what to play. He's just got that kind of. He can thread a melody through things, and he did a bit of singing on it as well. And it's the same with Craig. Craig was on tour at the time, so basically he did a lot of it in hotel rooms. He did. He took. Quite a lot of it was he took a MIDI kit, so quite a lot of it is actually is MIDI information.
Because he's a big he's a V drums endorser, isn't he?
Yeah, massively into all that. So basically he would just play all this stuff, and then he'd send it over to me, and I would kind of map it across sort of drum plugins and stuff like that, and just kind of his performance was just flawless, And the same with John. John came round.
Okay.
Because he loves a bit of that.
But I was going to say, how much of it was recorded together, and was this all done
Nothing.
kind of by
Nothing?
Wow, really?
Yeah, the whole thing was done. We did it in 4 different. We apart from John being here, I put all the demos together here, and everything else was emailed.
That's crazy, isn't it? I mean, it's just, I say it's crazy. It's the way things work these days, isn't it? It's everything done over the internet. It's crazy. No,
I mean, I think it's only because every other album we've done, we've gone into we've been in a room, we went to Strong Room, and we've done sort of drum tracking everywhere. But because we had a time limit, there was a deadline to get the album delivered, and Craig was on tour.
Right.
Those sorts of things are very useful. But with Nath, it just saves time, because Nath. He's in his own studio. He's comfortable. He doesn't have to drive around the M25, which is a nightmare anyway.
Yeah.
And we all trust each other so much. It's just the stuff arrives, and you just think, yeah, brilliant. It's a band in that respect, in terms of I don't sit there and produce them. They just do that thing they do.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, when I listen to it, it doesn't sound like 4 musicians in separate places playing to demo tracks and stuff, and then having then it being assembled later on in the background. It just doesn't sound like that. Well, so I mean, that's a fantastic achievement to get it to sound so cohesive and like you're in the room. It's an amazing, and the production on this is stunning. The clarity of everything that goes through this. I mean, I always pay particular attention to Craig, because I'm such a huge fanboy, and I can hear everything that he does. And I did wonder how, was he using the V drums? But tell me a little bit more. So he's doing stuff on V drums. He sends you over audio or MIDI data, and then you're mapping it to like acoustic drum plugins. And if so, which ones?
It's all Superior Drummer.
Okay. Which library?
Oh God.
Because I want to know, because I want to be playing the Frost drum library.
I tell you what, it was the Hitmaker. It was Hugh Padgham. It was the Hugh.
Oh
Padgham,
yes, yeah.
That one. So yeah, it was basically
Excellent.
that. And then I just get like the hi-hat track and everything else, and then it's just a question. He's played it. I mean, that's the thing.
Yeah.
It's kind of in terms of. I mean, initially I was thinking, I don't know about this. How do I feel about this morally?
Yeah.
But actually, it's
his performance.
It's his performance, exactly.
Yeah.
It's not. That's not. You can't program that. He's playing it. So it's just a question of mapping that. In a way that made everything he played really clear. And also the other thing was, in terms of, even though we weren't in the same room, what we would do, because the songs were quite embryonic when we were recording them, I could then modulate my parts to what they'd already played. So we kind of played round each other in a way.
Yeah.
Which I think is why there's quite a lot of, we're all out of each other's way frequency wise. And I think we sort of did play a little bit, in those sorts of terms. So Nath would sort of hear the gap where there wasn't anything going on, and he would feel that, and John was the same, and Craig was, and then I would play around all of them.
Right.
So we kind of all had roles to play, I think.
Because I remember in the 90s, I bought a whole pile of those twiddly bits. Do you remember those MIDI file things that Dave Spears was producing? And I remember getting some that were recorded. I forget the name of the guy, but he used to do, very much like Craig does, he used to do live drum and bass stuff at like 170, 180 BPM.
Yeah.
And they managed to, they recorded him playing, a MIDI up drum kit, and then took all the MIDI data and put it onto these floppy disks. And then you could load it up and then just assign your own sounds. But of course, back in the 90s, I was just assigning drum sounds from a Roland sound canvas. But you could always tell that it was a real person playing, because it had captured the nuance and the delicacy and the dynamics of the performance.
I agree, and also I think drum sort of sample libraries, I've never felt that they've been good enough until recently, and you could always sort of think, you can kind of hear there's a sort of round robin thing going on. And, but these kits are like 20 gig, 25 gig, and they're so layered.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't have done it if I wasn't convinced. I listened to it and just thought, actually, do you know what? It sounds it's I could hear him playing, and it was never that. Previously I've never really felt they were good enough, but I think we kind of might be at that point now.
Yeah, Superior Drummer is, it's the one that I prefer to use. I do have BFD and what's the other one? Addictive, I think.
Addictive,
is the other one.
I used to use Addictive for ages.
Yeah, but Superior Drummer, its very name denotes that it is the best.
And I figured, if this drum library is recorded by Hugh Padgham, it's gonna be all right, isn't it?
Exactly. So look, we're a synthesizer show, as you well know, and here we are talking about drums. So let's talk about the synths, because there are lots of synths on this album. Tell us what you used, how you used it. Was there anything special or unique? How much Fairlight's in there, and all of that kind of stuff.
Well, a lot of it is the piano, actually. It was what was brilliant was having the real thing, because again, and this is the irony about the drum libraries, is that I've got a CP70 library, and it just sounds pony, And that thing is a living, breathing. You can hit it with the elbow, and it's boom. It's all that. It's alive in that respect. So I basically loads of it is that put through, effects pedals and chroma console, and all kinds of little stomp boxes and stuff like that, and just trying different sounds with it. So I was like muting the strings and hitting them with pencils and kind of just trying to get all these different tones. I was thinking how much. What my initial idea was, do the whole album with with the piano and just make it as, but it didn't really sort of work out that way. I used quite a lot of Prophet X on it. Which actually is also available on a nearby auction site. So it's kind of it sounds a bit weird, but I like to buy synths for a project, and then once the project's done, like turf them out.
Really?
Why?
Why?
Well, I think because they kind of remind me of that time in a weird. I mean, there's a few synths that are keepers, but by and large, like the wave states, that's all gone.
Yeah. Because I'm going to ask you about those, but
because there's the plug-in version now. I mean, I did use the Korg. That's what's been really good about Korg is that they back up their hardware synths with software versions, which is just brilliant. Why didn't everybody do that?
Yeah. So what about Fairlight? I have to ask you. I'm contractually obliged. Obviously, so before we ask about how much of that was on the album, if any, tell us a little bit about that, because that's a pretty unique Fairlight.
Yes.
The realm of Fairlights.
This is Arnie.
Yeah.
For reasons that will become clear shortly. This used to belong to Brad Fidel or Fidel. I don't know how you say it.
Yeah.
This was the Terminator 2 Fairlight.
Yeah.
He had two of them. So I don't know whether this is the or the I don't know which one it is.
I'm sure it did both.
So it's kind of it has that sort of provenance, and it was Andre in Sacramento.
Yeah.
He sort of fettled it, and it's got like SSD drives, SCSI drives in it, and fans,
temperature controls, and
control
great,
fans.
Yeah.
And but getting it from LA to here was just. It was catastrophic.
Yeah, because when it arrived,
the monitor had been smashed in. That was at the night. My beautiful green screen had gone. Yeah, that's in the garage. But it actually weirdly, the flight case with the keyboard in it. I mean, that had been knocked about, but you opened it up and it was fine. Fired it up. Didn't even have to reseat any of the cards. It just kind of went. I mean, they're built like tanks.
Yes. Yeah.
You know, I can't lift it on my own. The mainframe bit.
No.
And I sort of fired it up thinking, Christ, and it just went, bang, yes, let's go. I was like, wow. So, yeah, I mean, so I did use, there's a bit of Syrah on it. That's kind of all, that's all I really managed to get, because at the time I was moving house for a bit of it, so
yeah,
it was in a box.
Yeah, I heard that.
But I did get some of it on there. I plan to use it a lot more. Now I'm not terrified of it, because for about a year I had real Fairlight fear. Because it's kind of, you know, it's like it's almost like it's like that memory moog I had got off you, Ken.
Mm-hmm.
They're so kind of. I just thought, what's it going to do today?
Yeah.
I had a Quadra like that as well. So but I'm kind of over the fear now, and I love it. I love the whole the sort of the personality of it, and the what's the word, the kind of the event of using it. It's amazing. They are amazing, but they're. Yeah, and it's also, you can kind of see how all modern workstations this invented
Ground
the whole
zero.
Concept.
Yeah,
exactly.
absolutely. Yeah, no, I was so chuffed that you finally got one, because, you know, I mean, I think our first meeting, and I probably said this the last time we spoke, our first meeting was over a sampler. It was over the Emulator 2 with Steve Howell, bless him, and on Hollow Sun, and that's how we first kind of found each other. So are you still using emulators, or maybe they're appearing on an auction site somewhere?
Well, actually, as I say, the Emacs, I did get the Emacs, but that's just, as I say, that's having a drive fitted at the moment, a SSD and a...
Is it a 1 or 2 Emacs?
It's a 2.
2, yeah.
But what it was, which is the weirdest thing, I actually had 2. One I got from the Vemure auction last time, and it was really beaten up, but it had this amazing, massive library, you know, well, not terabytes, gigabytes of stuff, including old Emulator 1 libraries and samples and stuff. So but it's a 2 meg one. So I thought I bought another. There was one in France which I got on Reverb a couple of weeks ago that was in absolutely spectacularly good condition. So I got that over, and I said to the guy, you know, what's the memory on it? He went, I think it's 1 meg. So I opened it up. It's not. It's 8.
It's the 8 meg turbo.
It's the 8 meg turbo. I was like, oh my god, this is brilliant. So basically, I've dashed it over to my tech and went, can you put all that in that one? And I've got some Emacs 1 buttons, the nice sort of pastel coloured one. So it's going to be my Miami Vice Emacs, because it's
sweet.
So yeah,
that's so funny you should say that, because I had a very similar experience. I bought an Emacs 2 from a producer called Steve Mack in Brighton.
Yeah,
and he's got this studio called The Bunker, and it's this beautiful place that it literally is a bunker. When you go down, you get high instantly, because there's so much residual fumage from people that have been in there. And he had this Emac, and I was so keen to get it, because it was at like 450 quid on eBay. I was like, I'm having that. I don't care. I'm having it. If it's working, I'm having it. So I go down, pick it up, and get it home. And it was only then that I realised that it was the 2201 1 meg version. That cannot be upgraded, and it's mono sampling. Samples in mono, but plays back in stereo. And I was like, oh well. Look, at least I can play my Emulator 2 sample library back now. That's cool.
Yeah.
And then I went to when I bought that DX5. The guy that sold me that DX5, David Knowles, who is a brilliant prog musician himself, and you must listen. If you ever get to listen to the Swan Chorus, dig out them on Bandcamp. Brilliant stuff.
All right.
He said to me when I picked that up, he says, and I won't do the Liverpudlian accent, but he said, I've got an Emacs 2 upstairs. It's dead. Do you want it? And I said, well, how dead? He says, well, the last time I turned it on, it kind of went bang, a little puff of smoke happened, and that's it. And he says, you can have it for 50 quid. So I sort of hummed and hawed, and the next time I went up that way, I said, go on, I'll have it. Got it home, and it's the Turbo Max HD.
Wow.
The power supply had given up the ghost, so that was just a recap.
Yeah.
And it was the thing that tripped the power supply was the hard drive, so we binned that. I say we, this was Simon Alexander that did all this work for me. And he put a SCSI to SD drive in there as well, and one of Chris Poacher's Gotek floppy replacement things.
Oh, yeah.
So I've got all the libraries on this thing, and it's now sat up there, and it's got Dave Rossum's signature on the front of it, and it's brilliant. But I've also still got a fully functional 1 meg version that's sitting in the garage in the flight case, which I might decide to move on at some point if somebody wanted something like that. But it's weird, isn't it, how you pick one, you think, oh, it's not quite the one I wanted, and then we both ended up getting the Turbo HD, which was super cool.
I've sort of realised that I didn't really, you sort of realise what kind of synth collector you are, or synth person you are. I suddenly realised that what I appear to collect is old samplers.
Yeah,
which is weird. I've got the two Accai's, got the
Accai's and Fairlight.
It's just like, okay, I'm one of them, am I? Fair enough. That's all right. I'm back.
Yeah. Absolutely. So, look, I know you tried to cover it up earlier, but you have succumbed to the drug that is Eurorack.
Yes.
Why?
Well, I can't. I tell you what it is. What I wanted to put together a kind of almost like a self-generating ecosystem. I wanted to kind of have a thing that I could set some parameters up and it would kind of have a sort of, it would kind of go off on a random. It would go, right, I can do this, and sort of have patterns of chance, and basically, I was trying to have something that might generate its own ideas, basically, save me having to write anything. So I kind of wanted a sort of semi-intelligent sort of music generating thing.
Okay.
So again, it's full of sample modules. It's not like I haven't gone down the bleep 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 kind of thing. They're all like. They've all got like little micro SD cards in them. They all. So it's basically it's for generating drum patterns and and doing stuff that's interesting that I can set it to go in 15, 16 or something, and then I can improvise over it. That was sort of the idea.
Okay. That's something I've always wanted to ask a competent progressive rock musician, which I believe you are.
When's he on?
Time signatures.
Yes.
What determines the time signature for a piece that you're writing? Do you think time signature first and then melody and composition on top of that? Or how does that come about? Because how do you break out of the typical 4/4?
I think it just depends on the kind of riff you're writing. I mean, I suddenly realised I used to really like 7/8. I thought 7/8 was my my signature because of Genesis. But actually, what I realised is you can kind of, and now the game for me is to try and make them not feel like they're out. Not like they're doing weird things. You could have and you kind of think that's all right. That's 5/4.
Yeah.
You don't necessarily think it is because it's got a little kind of groove to it. So it was sort of, I think sometimes you just write something and it kind of just seems to fall over itself.
Okay.
Outside of what might be 4, so I tend to 7 and 5. I've been writing a lot in. Craig obviously likes to do things in like 26/9.
I know, right? Yeah.
Because that's drummers for you. And we always play this game. We always play this game live. The game Where the Fuck Is One. which and this class, and we're kind of trying to we're doing all this and it's all brilliant. And then meanwhile Craig's gone off and then I'm going, I'm on the offbeat here. I look over this game. So it's kind of we do have this. These drummers are the worst. I think the rest of us we like to know where one is, but he does.
Yeah.
He just doesn't tell us.
Brilliant. What is your favourite?
Have you ever done the sort of round robin thing where you have several polyrhythmic patterns running? One maybe in 4/4, 5/4, 7/8, 9/4, that kind of thing.
There's a point
where they keep revolving, and there's a point at some distant future, bar 54 or something, where they all resolve, and only then does it come back. Because you can get some really interesting
well, exactly.
weirdness.
It's actually one of the reasons why I got the modular, because that's eminently capable of doing that. So I wanted to kind of have these sort of almost kind of gamelan. It's like that King Crimson Fripp kind of thing of having sort of things falling over themselves, and then there's one glorious bar where it all won, and there you go, and then you're off again for another 62 bars. So it's kind of and that was brilliant for that. That's one of the reasons why I got it, because I wanted something that would just kind of chunter away and give you generate something in the background, because it actually, in a weird kind of way, it means you play less. It's the old having a drum machine thing. You kind of play to it rather than filling up all the space. So that's one of the my modular kind of leanings are more towards that rather than sounding like a fire in a science fiction factory.
Yeah, no, that's really interesting, and no, I don't like it. but no, I actually think that's a really clever. I've not heard of somebody doing that before, and I guess that is the beauty of modular and Eurorack, is that it can be whatever you want it to be.
Yeah.
Which is fascinating. What I like about all of these, and it does occur in this brilliant album, which is Life in the Wires by Frost, available now at all good record stores and some bad ones as well, is that you do that classic thing which I love in prog music, where you go something like the beginning is in 5/4, and then you go to 7/8, and then you go to maybe something really bizarre, and then it resolves into a 4/4 like chorus and this big, and it's like an anthemic thing, and then you go off again. And I like that sort of that wave of we're going to go out on a limb here, and then we're going to come back and resolve at this brilliant sort of foot stomping thing, and then we're going to go off and twiddle and noodle again, which I think I love that. I really do.
Well, thank you very much. I mean, there is an argument that it's a little bit, self-indulgent, but it's prog, isn't it? I mean, if you can't do it in prog,
exactly. And I mean, this Frost is progressive. I don't know whether you get tired of that term, whether neo prog or whatever it might be. I mean, and there's a whole bunch of artists, yourself, Stephen Wilson, and others that you could probably toss into that bucket. Do you get tired of that? Do you get tired of kind of being
tossing into a bucket? Not
often. Being tossed into a bucket by Stephen Wilson. Do you think it limits your appeal?
Yeah, well, I think there is some. It's there's always a slight bit of trepidation when people say, "So what's your band?" And you think, "Oh, here we go. This is going to go one or two ways."
What's the elevator pitch?
Yeah. So it's sort of. I tend to say we're a rock band, but
could I? Here's a thing for you. Often when people are talking about music, that's the kind of question you've just asked, Robbie, is interesting, because it's kind of presupposing that one might want to write music to sell it. So you write something commercially appealing. So you do the 4/4, the 4 to the floor. That would that's one way of doing it, and you've had some success doing that as well. So, but I kind of get the feeling with prog, especially, and with anyone writing it, whether it's jazz or whatever, if that's what you got to do, and it's where your passion lies, and it's kind of what drives you to get up and do the playing and write the stuff, you're always going to find an audience that will follow you. If you're doing stuff you like and that you are happy with, then that audience is going to follow you. Have you found that?
Yes, I mean, I think that's the thing. That's. I mean, Frost was only ever supposed to be a one album project. It was never designed to be this sort of 20-year career thing. And what it was, I did it. And I did it with absolutely no intention of gigging it. The original idea was, I don't know whether I've said this before, was that I was going to record the first album. This is obviously in the days before the internet. I was going to get like 500 of them printed up, just on white discs on a white cover, and go to a bunch of gigs, like prog rock gigs and like that, from contemporaries, and just leave them lying around, and then disappear. And so people were going to go, "What is that?" And they play it and go, "Oh my God, what is this?" And they would, and it was supposed to be like a sort of, no one would ever know what this was, and that was sort of the joke. That was going to be the joke, but my ego got in the way, obviously, and that's the thing.
As it does.
So it kind of, and it was. I think that was the thing. And you're absolutely right. It is that if you do it and you mean it, you will find an audience. And I know that's the oldest cliche in the book, isn't it? When people go, be true to yourself, and when they go, it's when I was true to myself, suddenly it all happened. And unfortunately, it kind of is true. If you do it and you don't compromise, and you say, it's like with this album, when I finished it, I hadn't really played it to anybody, and because I'd written a lot of it myself and recorded a lot of it here, I hadn't really played it to anybody, and so I had no kind of sounding board. I didn't know if it was any good or not. So it literally was, when I finished it, I thought, well, do you know what? I like it, and if I like it, then job done. And if everyone else hates it, then that's fine.
But that's the way you should write music, isn't it? You should write it to please yourself, and if other people like it, it's a bonus.
Exactly. No, I agree.
Yeah. I literally completely forgotten what I was about to ask you. I had a question lined up in my head, and it's gone. So I'll move on to something else instead.
Oh, I do have another question.
You go on. Yeah, you do one, because my brain's gone.
Where do babies come from? Oh, no. That's the other question.
When Mummy and Daddy love each other very much.
Croydon.
Do they? Oh, you're right. Okay. So earlier, you sort of passingly mentioned the CP70, and you said how you might be selling it next. You don't know yet, but you did wax rather lyrical about how the reason you had it in this album was because it is an organic thing, and that you interact with it in ways you don't with electronic instruments.
Yeah,
I'm just kind of I find that interaction with real instruments, with real stuff, even though I've mostly got electronic here, that sort of interaction where you bang it and it goes, that's something which I really love about real pianos or guitars or whatever. Are you sure you want to get rid of it? I mean, isn't that something you want to have, or would you replace it with something else that's acoustic or that interacts in a different way?
Yeah, I think it's always about challenges. I don't want to be. If anything becomes a trademark, I don't want to be the CP70 guy.
So Gabriel's got that.
Exactly. So it kind of. I mean, maybe next time I might. I've got a U3. Is it the Yamaha upright?
Oh yes,
over there. It might be nice to stick a couple of pencil mics on that and then put that through a load of pedals. That might be something to do. I've never done that before. Or do some prepared stuff, or buy a Fender Rhodes, or I'm actually trying to learn the guitar at the moment, so that might be my next little thing. But I think it's about I kind of like to challenge. If it's the same thing over, I get quite bored quite easily. So it's like, okay, I've got rid of the piano. What am I going to do? And that kind of that inspires me, I think, to sort of try different things. Otherwise, you end up going, well, that worked. I'll do it again. And also, I'm moving house in about 6 months.
Yeah.
I don't want to be moving that. The next album.
Yeah. I've remembered what my question was. So I can't remember if I asked you this the last time you were on, which was 2 years ago. Let's not leave it so long next time. You've obviously written a lot of great pop songs, traditional pop songs. I have to say thank you for many drunken evenings when Atomic Kitten's Whole Again came on. Did you write the melody, the lyrics? What was your involvement in that song?
We did the original version was like country and western song. It was spoken in the verses.
Right, okay.
Kind of went, if you see me walking down the street, there's a guy I know to be. And so basically, and it was quite a rudimentary sort of mix. So basically, what we did is we filled in the verses,
right,
and then reproduced it. We got a gospel choir in, and we sort of upped the drums and changed it all up, and then redid the arrangement a bit. And so basically, it was kind of like it was half finished. Yeah, I say that advisedly. It was half. It was the record company wanted it to be completely sung. So basically, we kind of went in and tweaked, quite a lot of it, all the verses and bits like that. And as I say, we did the mix on it. So
yeah, because the reason that it holds a certain small significant place in my past was that we used to sing dirty lyrics to it, and I'm sure I don't need to tell anyone when you get to the chorus. We didn't sing "You Can Make Me Whole Again."
Yes, well, I'll tell you something. The band would sing that as well. It's not just you. The band they sang it.
I love that. It's like I'm sure Nathan's probably told you about what Mark sings to Chinese Way. Certainly out live these days. Things swinging between his knees. It is. I love that. But I mean, you've had this kind of super successful writing, production career in the past. and Frost is almost the complete antithesis of that. Do you view Frost as the real Jem Godfrey?
Christ. No, well, this is actually quite interesting. You were talking about, sort of pariahs. I mean, I couldn't get it more wrong, could I? I mean, I've done teen pop and prog rock. I mean, I cannot be a less cool musician.
I know. What's next?
Why couldn't I have done, like, funk or metal or something? But no. I think it's not really, if I'm honest. Not really. I mean, the music I love and I loved growing up is electronic music. I mean, it's what it is. It's Visage and OMD and Thomas Dolby and Sparks, and those are that's what I love. Even League.
Right.
I feel an episode of Synth Inspirations.
Yeah, we need you to do an
coming
episode
on.
of Synth
I saw
Inspirations.
last week there was the guy who had the golden age of wireless on the Synth.
Yeah, that was Peter.
And
yeah.
that's one of my favourite albums of all time.
I know, right?
And it's kind of that's where my real passion is. And if I'm absolutely honest, I'm too scared to do something like that in case.
Well, I was going to say, why don't you do it?
Because
Go on.
I might do. I'd love to. I would really love to. I'm kind of, it's the Frost thing is great fun. It's brilliant, but it kind of. I'd love to do a sort of. I'd love to be Thomas Dolby. Basically, that's.
Wouldn't we all?
True kind of calling. I mean, look, I've got the Fairlight.
I know, right?
I mean, it's kind of like it's all there. It's all right. It's
Yeah,
on the wall.
exactly. It's all there. Do it, Jem. Do it.
All right. Okay.
Go on. You've heard it here first. Jem Godfrey is going to do an electronic album.
I am.
Why not?
I'm going to do it. All right. Fair enough.
Yeah.
You got
Ken,
the production chops.
Yeah,
You got
exactly.
The production
Yeah.
chops.
It's not like you're lacking.
A lot of people made some very bad electronic music. Lots of people made some very, very bad electronic music. The ones that stand out, the ones that became iconic, also had people who were really clever about how they mixed and blended these things together. Listening to the Frost stuff, you've got the chops. Like, go do it.
I think it's songwriting. I mean, with Thomas Dolby, and even Human. I mean, all these bands, it's brilliant electronic music, but they're hung around great songs, and that is always the thing that separates the good from the bad.
Yeah, but mate, it's not like you're lacking great songs department, are you? Really? Make it 100% FL Studio. Yeah, there you go. Do it all in reason. Do it all in reason.
I'll see if I can get my 1040 out if it still works.
Yeah, do that.
I
mate.
love the 1040. I loved Notator on the 1040.
Oh, so did I. That's what I started on that, and it's still. Going that way. That's how it should be. It shouldn't be.
You are still a little quiet there, Jim.
Am I? Sorry.
There we go.
There we go.
Okay. Got some questions from the audience here. Budget keyboardist, who is a big fan, I am told. If you play Live from the Wires Part 1 live, what's the strategy for doing the Morse code bit at the beginning? That seems crazy hard to play, and he's not wrong. Because you're going to do it live, aren't you? Yes.
We're gonna have to learn how to play it. I mean, I have thought about this. I've had sort of sleepless evenings thinking, we're gonna have to learn it. It's Morse code for "Can you hear me?" That's what it is.
Yeah.
So it's kind of we'll have to learn it. I think I can do "Can you her" at the moment. That's about as far as I get. Craig, of course, can do the whole thing. But that we'll have to
bloody Royal Marines.
Exactly. We'll have to we'll just have to bite the bullet and learn a bloody thing.
Yeah. Nick wants to know, in a fight, King Crimson, Asia, Rush or Yes?
Oh no, that's a brilliant question. I reckon Crimson.
Okay.
I reckon Crimson because I've met Fripp and he's terrifying.
Oh yeah.
Although actually Asia, Jeff Downs, it's all quite handy. I mean, yeah. Although actually, because Jeff would be in Yes and Asia, so who's he going to fight? Jeff Downs, a keyboard player. That's going to be difficult.
Yeah.
Crim. I reckon the Crim.
Yeah. Okay. I don't know. Let me think. I would probably go Yes.
Really?
Yeah. Then Rush, because they were. I don't know. There's something about Rush, and then Crim, then Asia. But then Asia's not. I'm not saying putting Asia last because they're not very good. They're very, very good. But personal preference. What do you guys? Kent, are you proggy?
You all right there, Kent? Are you all right, Kent?
He's asleep.
I know. Yeah. Sorry, mate. I've been rabbiting on.
No, that's all right. It's getting very interesting. I think my favourite.
Or was it Aphrodite's Child?
Yeah.
No.
Destiny's Child.
Oh, that.
No, I don't think I got one.
No?
No, I don't
Out of
think
those
I got
four,
one.
what's your preference out of Crimson, Asia, Russia, or Yes?
Probably lean towards King Crimson. Otherwise,
Oh, really?
Jeremy Stacey will hit me with a piano.
Okay, yeah. I thought you might have said Yes because Wakeman would have hit you with something. But
Yeah, well, anybody that drives out of a car park and forgot to pack their mini moog and left it on the
Mini-moog,
bloody
yeah.
roof, yeah, it deserves to be ignored, personally.
Oh, fair enough.
He actually
It was
did
an
that.
RA, for Christ's sake.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
People
Longhurst?
shouting at him, your mini's on the roof. What?
It's got to be Yes, because that was the first album. That was kind of my touch point. But I listened, I heard King Crimson first, Court of the Crimson King. And everything that came after that is just brilliant. It's just brilliant. But Yes, Crimson, then Rush, then Asia.
Okay.
Although, to be honest, I'll be really honest here, controversial. I've never been a great fan of Asia.
Really?
Mm.
Okay.
They're okay, but
Yeah.
Just
something about
apologise
it
to
I
our
didn't quite-
Japanese viewers and our Chinese viewers.
yeah, I know.
Well, it's kind of
But-
it's power pop rock, isn't it? I mean, there's
Yeah.
kind of
Yeah, it's prog pop rather than prog rock.
I just get so confused with you've got Age and then you've got Anderson, Bruford, Wakeman, Howe, and then all these other versions of ex
had
Yes
two
members.
eggs mixed for 2 hours.
Yeah,
and-
I know it's bonkers. But,
It's still
Gotta
weird
say-
song titles as well, isn't it?
yeah, absolutely.
You know, sort of like...
You're very welcome.
Big thanks to Arthcourt. Small thanks again to Mr. Longhurst for more dB on his mic, which is good, and thank you for your merchandise order. I saw that come through. I did send a message to say thank you. I hope you enjoy what you get.
Yeah,
Did I mention merch? Haven't we?
Do we have merch?
What's happened to It Bites? Do you?
It's
do you
just
have an
before
insight?
April, isn't it?
Yeah.
It Bites. That's a good question. As
Are they still
far
going?
as I'm aware, it's dormant.
Okay.
As far as I'm aware, it's dormant. I know that Frank. Oh, I have to call him Francis. Sorry, Francis Dunnery is. He's doing his version of it,
Yeah.
and I think that's he's doing well with that. But in terms of the John Beck iteration of it, I don't think there's anything happening.
No.
I could be wrong, but last I heard, it was on ice.
And I kicked myself if I didn't ask you. So obviously Nathan must be out with Level 42 in Mexico City at the moment. I think
42. Yeah,
The
he's out with
42.
he's out with the 42.
Yeah, with his bruv. Blundell must be in rehearsals or something for Stephen Wilson's new thing next year, or is
He's doing his last. I actually know this. Bizarrely, I spoke to him this morning. He's doing the last Hackett show tomorrow in Lisbon.
Oh, okay.
Or it might be tonight. And then he's home, and then maybe he is. I didn't know he was doing that. So.
Well, I'm not sure if he is. That's the thing. I'm not sure because Wilson's got this whole thing lined up for next year. We're going to see him at the Palladium.
Yeah.
And it's like a huge concept thing. This is Stephen Wilson. It's a huge concept thing, but no, it's going to tie in with an album with 2 songs, one on each side. So it's obviously classic prog of some description, which is going to be amazing. And then John, what's he doing after this now? Is he...
Johnny, he's just come back from touring. He was in America with David Cross for 6 weeks. Speaking of King Crimson.
Yeah.
They put a bit more power on it.
Okay.
So you've said, cheers to Ale for the more DB, but you basically nicked all mine by the sounds of it. So.
Yes, I did. Yes, I did.
Then I think John he's going to do. He has a project called Lonely Robot, which I think he's either doing another one or he's doing something as John Mitchell. I don't quite know. I spoke to both of them this morning, funnily enough.
Yeah. Cool.
John's very jet lagged, and Craig is in Lisbon. Been quite sweary.
Brilliant. And what about you? What's now the
Well,
album's out?
I'm doing an electronic album. Do you know? Have you heard?
Oh, of course, yes.
He's doing an electronic album.
Duh.
Oh, yeah.
yeah,
But
doing that.
But yeah, before you do that, what's on the cards?
I think a couple of months off would be nice because I think it's been all year this whole this whole cycle. So I think this actually funny. I think this is the last chat I'm doing. This is the last kind of Life in the Wires related chat I'm doing. So so next time we can just talk about gear, which would be brilliant.
Well, we'll talk about the electronic album.
Okay, perfect. So I think after that, I'm gonna. I suppose what I should really do is start thinking about programming everything up. Should we play live? Mm-hmm. And I'm kind of coming to the conclusion that I probably need to learn main stage, but I'm really frightened.
A lot of people coming to that, yeah. It's a good thing.
Frightened of it, really, because I don't trust computers and stages. I don't think it shouldn't be.
You need the Arturia Key Lab.
Oh, the Astrolab. The
Astrolab. Yeah, that does look good. That does look good, doesn't it?
It comes highly recommended.
Then it's all in hardware in front of you. You don't need a computer attached. I mean,
the problem is, though, the only reason I'm thinking about it is because if we are going to go to Europe and across to America, if I just take 2 laptops and a backpack, it makes a lot more sense than trying to lug. Because if you have to hire keyboards in the States and stuff, and you've only got to get one that's a bit on the wonk or something's not quite right. So, and also the other thing is, if you've got those, you can't practice. You can't sort of run. So if I've got the laptops, I can just sit in a room somewhere and run the set. And so it's a bit of a. I think it's an inevitable evil. But the Arturia thing does look good, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I still think it's not the finished article yet. I think they need like a V2, a version 2.
Yeah.
Where you can access more sounds maybe.
And poly.
And yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I've had it since it came out, and I really enjoy it. And the fact that it's my main controller here at the desk, and I can just turn it on, and I don't need anything else. I don't need to fire at the computer. I've got all of those sounds ready.
Yeah,
is nice, but it's also nice for zero latency monitoring when you're messing around with the DAW. And then I'm not a live player, so I couldn't comment on that. But I think
the Phantoms are good as well. I mean, these new Phantoms are great, I think.
Yeah. Well, our friend Rich Hilton, who plays out with Chic, he doesn't take a keyboard anywhere with him. He just takes a USB stick and loads his set in to, just hires out a Phantom or 3 and just loads it in. Yeah, they're very, very good. Yeah. Cool. Excellent. So we've asked you what's next.
Yes.
I want to ask you very quickly about the live stuff. I mean, I am slightly pushing on this because I want to see this album played live. But the last tour you did, it was very interesting. You did a set of videos on it, and you just basically 3 wave states?
It was 2 wave states and a Juno, but the Juno, the Juno is a Juno X. But that was literally the thing about that. Weirdly, is it's a brilliant master keyboard.
Right, yeah.
You can do zoning on it, and all there's loads of, and all the MIDI out. It sends program changes to different. They're brilliant. They're really brilliant. I didn't use it as a sound source. I just had the 2.
Just literally a controller.
The 2 wave states. Yeah, they were great actually.
So how did you use the wave states? I mean, were you just using them for just standard patches, or were you using any of the fancy wave sequencing stuff?
Well, I used to use them as massive samplers, basically.
Right. Okay.
Because they're both, I think it's 4 gig. They've both got 4 gig memory.
Have they?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're pretty big.
Massive, I didn't realise that.
Massive amount of memory in them. So basically, and because there's only 4 parts in each, I basically was trying to make one 8-part, big wave state, basically.
Okay.
With 8 gig of sample RAM. So basically, I chucked everything from the album. I made all these multi-samples of the keyboard sounds up and put them all in Sample Robot and made them all lovely. And then the wave states have got this brilliant software editor as well, Sample Editor, which Korg do. And basically, I just build everything in Sample Robot, dump it into the software they did, and it just lobbed it into the wave states.
Wow.
All over USB. They're brilliant machines.
Yeah.
But they've got that horrible wall wart on the back of them.
Yeah.
Which is just insane. And actually, I shut one in a flight case, and I had to buy another one because it was because it knackered the PSU. So I had to kind of literally get another wave state just to get the plug for it. So it's why they haven't put IEC cable on the back of them.
Yeah. Well, why anybody doesn't do that.
Are the new ones, the large ones, are they discontinued?
No, I think
because on the Korg website, it's a 404 that page now.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Well, I know that they recently did a whole big price drop on them, and I know Music Matter in Preston. I don't know whether anyone else was doing it, but the SEs dropped from $1,400 to $999.
Ah, okay. Because I couldn't find. There's a lot of them. There's a few in stock, but I went to the Korg website and it went. This page is missing.
I wonder because I know that they did the whole Mark II thing because the original Raspberry Pi board that they were using in the middle.
It's up there.
Is it?
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, okay, right.
So
see it.
the original Raspberry Pi became like obsolete, and so they had to upgrade it, and therefore, because they could upgrade it, they could add in 60 voice polyphony. So I'm wondering whether maybe they're going to make Mark II SEs.
Yeah.
That might be an interesting.
They're great. They're brilliant. I mean, they're cool.
Yeah.
Again, they just.
Have
I
you
don't quite
seen the
where-
new multi-poly?
Yes.
Thoughts?
I've got. But do you know what? It's the form function. I can't these. I need a 5-octave keyboard for these things. I can't.
Yeah.
3 octaves and the little teeny tiny wheels at the top. It's just I can't.
Tiny.
Yeah.
wheels.
So if you were to when you tour Life on the Wires, we should put that positive mental attitude. When you tour Life on the Wires, what will you be using on stage for that? Considering you've got a CP70
Brandy.
to replace.
Brandy mostly.
Brandy. yeah. Brandy. It's always the most fun bit, isn't it? The planning your rig. That's always the best kind of. It's got to be portable. I think it's got to be some. It's probably going to be. I hate the idea of main stage. Just fills me with dread. But it's probably what I'm going to have to do.
Right.
Just get a AN controller of some sort. Because it's got to basically be. If I would just go to any sort of country and just say I need just some 5-octave keyboard, and I've got a couple of laptops and a radial KLA,
Yeah.
it's just going to be that. It's about making it portable and transportable, I think, and that's it, which is a shame because I would love to have the whole thing.
Yeah, because I mean that's the signature prog thing, isn't it? It's the Jeff Downs. How many arms do I need to control
And
my?
we all wanted that, didn't we?
Yeah.
though?
I know.
I was just going to ask again with the touring thing. Is some of this portability thing also about the fact you don't have as many, you can't afford as many road crew nowadays as one used to.
Yeah.
So you've got to make it something which you can, if it comes to it, you can manage yourself. Is that part of the reason, or?
Pretty much, yeah. Because also the other thing is there's if you're doing the festivals, which you've got like an hour, we do this thing called Cruise to the Edge, which is a ferry that goes across the Mexican Sea.
Yeah.
Those sorts of gigs, you got 10 minutes to get on, do your little turn and get off. You can't have a crew with set up a CP70 and a Mellotron, and you've just got to get on, play and get off. So that this also for the festival the festival circuit, it's just much quicker to have a couple of laptops, set it all up with your 5-octave keyboard and get off.
Yeah.
So it's unfortunately it's a sort of necessary evil, really, much as I'd love to. Although Mike Lindup has a fabulous setup,
Yes.
like with 42.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Just make more money than we do.
But then, he always had a great live rig, didn't he? Even back in the day, with
The Prophet.
Yamahas and Profits and emulators and DXs and all that kind of stuff. It was,
And a Wave P 2.3.
yeah.
That most funk of keyboards.
Hey, as Mike Lindup touches it, it gets funky.
Yeah,
it's
fair enough.
as simple as that.
It's a fair point.
Simple as that. Ken, you've been rather quiet. Have you got any questions you'd like to ask Jem?
How's the Jupiter 8 doing?
It's all right, actually. One oscillator went down, but I had that fixed. It's all right. This is another one. This is Paddy Kingsland's old one.
Oh, his name's getting around at the moment at the old auction.
The old auction.
Auction.
He's got a Lindrum, isn't he? So
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Because I'm a massive Doctor Who fan, so basically this was used on a couple of those Peter Davison era Doctor Who. So I just went, oh my god!
Well, you might want to hang around because when we say goodbye to you in about 15 minutes, we're going to do this week's episode of Synth Inspirations, and it's a Doctor Who related thing.
Doctor Who.
So indeed. So stick around for that.
I've done teen pop, prog rock, and I like Doctor Who. I mean, it's what a portfolio of cool.
Exactly.
It is. And can I just point out, it's very nice having you on as a guest. You've been asked lots of questions by lots of people. Have you asked any of us anything? Have you, heck? I mean, rude?
I need to go public with this one.
Go on.
So I have to say a massive thank you for this. And if you zoom in, to be mentioned in the same sentence as Peter Forrest, Paddy Kingsland, JJ Exarlic, Andre, and Rich Lawson. To be mentioned that honestly, mate, it knocked me for 6, and all I can say is thank you very much for whatever little thing that I did.
What did it say in front of that T-boy? Was it?
I'll take it. I've got a mention on the Frost album.
Well, it was just for the Fairlight, really, because it was when you enter that world. I didn't realise that they're like the Facebook group. It's like Narnia. You go through the back of the cupboard, and there you all are with your Series 2s and all your
Fluffer, and yes, I have to say, you spelled unlike my one and only Hollywood movie credit, and they messed that up.
Oh, I did that. There was a track. There was a thing called Finding Neverland, which was a Broadway musical, which Gary Barlow did with Elliot Kennedy.
Yeah.
And there was a track called, I think it was the title track, Finding Neverland, and Zendaya sang it. I don't know how you say it. Anyway, so I did the mix. I produced the track, and they did the video and everything. I was thinking, and then she does the dance routine, and it's her, and it's so cool, and it's the bit at the end, it's like the ghost in the theatre and all that kind of stuff. And anyway, right at the end, produced by Jem Godfrey.
All right, Gene.
Yeah.
All right, Gene.
All right, Gene.
I am honoured to be in such an esteemed club of
my one
Just
moment.
one.
Hollywood.
Actually, I can point out one thing, which is that the Jem Godfrey memory moog is famous.
Oh, is it?
It is.
Yeah, because it's actually used as a measuring gauge, where we say this memory moog's pretty bad. It's not Jem Godfrey bad, but it's pretty bad.
Fantastic. Yeah. I saw a trailer today.
That was a moo, wasn't it? That one. It really
you
was
mentioned
a moo.
Gary and Elliot. So Gary's got this new TV show coming up where he's travelling around South Africa drinking wine, and all of a sudden, bloody Elliot Kennedy. He's shipped Elliot out there to South Africa, and they're eating and drinking. Because we've had Elliot on the show. He's a super guy.
Lovely. I love Elliot.
Isn't he?
Lovely.
Yeah, really, really nice guy. And I need to get him to try and get Gary on the show. But
Gary loves all this. Gary, he's and I don't know, I'm speaking out of turn, but we had this thing where he knew all. You'd say, okay, D50, 45. You go Pizza Go Go.
Yeah.
51 Cheat Street.
He's a proper synth nerd.
Oh, he absolutely loves it.
I want him on this show. Listen, mate, if you can put in a word in for us, I'd really appreciate it. I'll get you and I'll get Elliot to do like a pincer movement on him, and we'll get him on this show.
He does love his synth. I've got to say.
We that will give us a great reason to try and persuade one of our former co-hosts, Ben, who I always said sounded very much like Gary Barlow because he talks in that really slow cadence, and to have them on the show would be kind of like brothers from a different mother sort of thing. It would be amazing. Yeah,
Elliot and Gary on a show would be amazing because they are a double act. They're hilarious. They're such.
We should do that. We should. That's going to be my mission now. I'm going to do that. Elliot and Gary. Cool stuff. Right, we've got you for about 10 more minutes.
Oh, okay. What can we talk?
Yeah. Well, let me just do this because we haven't done it. Here's the Frost website, everyone. Please go and visit. Is it frost.life?
It's frost.life.
Yeah.
Yes.
All the videos are there. You've got the Frost Reports, parts 1 and 2, Life in the Wires edition. There's all sorts of other goodies on there. There's discographies, and there's the club, and there's the store where you can buy merch and you can buy music, and you've also got a Bandcamp page.
It's not good as your merch.
Well, I can hit you up with a link if you want.
Right, okay.
But yeah,
Experiments is a good album.
Thank you. They're all good. What do you make actually?
That's the one everybody hates.
No, I like it a lot. It's a really, really good album.
What do you make of the fact that a lot of people are saying like Life in the Wires is a natural successor to Million Town? Is that?
I think that's very nice. Yeah, and it was kind of it was sort of deliberate because it's been 20 years since Million Town. So I don't know. It kind of felt like the right time to kind of look back a little bit and acknowledge where we've come from. And everyone, to this day, people still say that that's their favourite album. So I thought, right, well, I better do it again then, hadn't I?
But
I hear you.
Yeah, that's it. But you've also got a Bandcamp page as well where you can download all of these as digital albums as well. And I guess I don't know what sort of cuts you get from your own website and your Bandcamp, but we always try and promote Bandcamp because artists do tend to do a little bit better out of them. And there's merch, and there's t-shirts and hoodies and all that kind of stuff as well, and the videos.
Merch? We never talk about merch.
Lyrics and links.
What's that? Merch? Why did it say video unavailable there? That's a bit embarrassing.
Did it? Oh, I did. I skipped past that.
Yeah.
But yeah, lots of great stuff on there. So you can fill your boots with all that stuff. There's loads of videos and brilliant stuff too. If you're not familiar with the legend that is Frost, you can avail yourself of all of that good stuff there. No, but seriously, I don't offer. It's not often you get the chance to say thank you to an artist who has made music that actually moves you. And so this is half the reason I want to get you on the show, so I can say that to your face. It's brilliant. I thoroughly recommend. Here it is, Life on the Wires. There it is. This is the.
Stop it now, Rob. Stop it.
I have to show this.
Stop it. Can I ask you a question about the Life on Wires, the radio, particularly the radio?
Yes. Oh, we look at that.
So it's a lovely looking disc. Yeah. So right at the beginning, you were talking about the inspirations for the album and going out walking and all these things, and you remembered radios, particularly AM radios and long wave, and that dialing in between all of the different stations, you pick up little snippets of things from different people, different voices, different parts of the world, and it was like opening a door into another world, and you got a sense of connectedness to a whole bunch of different people and different things. Did you also, because it was something which I found curious about the whole experience of those radios, I also found it terribly intimate, because each one of those voices, I felt like each one of them was talking to me.
Yeah.
Was that part of that?
Yeah, I mean, I think that it was because as you, I mean, it's the classic old, that thing of Radio Caroline. Everyone used to say, "Oh, I used to take my radio and I'd have it under my pillow and I'd go to bed and I could listen to Caroline." And I think it was that, radio was so, it is an intimate sort of medium, because I think with phones, because the visual element your brain doesn't have to do anything.
There's a disconnect, isn't there?
Exactly. Whereas with audio, you kind of, it's like reading a book. Your imagination does so much of the work.
Yeah.
And I think it's the same thing. And radio is brilliant for that. And as you say, you sort of dial in and you'd get just this kind of. And what was also, you'd get the voice, but you'd kind of, there'd be like ring modulation on it because of the frequencies was all weird, and they were like kind of weird alien-y, these amazing harmonics come out of voices, and and it was like a sort of wonderland. You didn't know who these people were, where they were, and what they were talking about, and that was always, I'd say it's exactly that. It's like they're talking to you, or
and I love your emulation of that on the website, being able to dial through.
Yeah, that was brilliant.
That's a cool little thing. Yeah.
That's very, very cool. Well
we had fun with that, and actually, what's been brilliant, the reaction's been brilliant about that, because everyone went, "I did that as a kid. I did that," and it's amazing how we all kind of have that shared experience. People of a certain age, And it really was that, because it was fascinating, and you could control it. That was the other thing. It was my first, analog control, I suppose, in those sorts of terms. And those frequencies were super cool. And it's kind of, I need to try and play. Obviously, me being who I am, I try and play melodies with them. Exactly right.
Absolutely.
But I completely agree with you. It was a very, very personal experience, and I think that it was nice to try and recreate that. Yeah, cool. Right, one last question before you go. Yes, sir. What's on your shopping list synth-wise? What have you got? Because you've got the Muse, okay, and I agree with you. It's a fantastic synth. It is a fantastic. But synth. What's next? That's a very good question. PB12. A PP? What? Polybrute 12. Oh, PB12. I'm not. I don't know. I'm kind of. I don't want to speak ill. I love that. I think that's brilliant, because it's. I sometimes have this thing of. This is why I like Prophets, because it's. That what's amazing with the Matrix and the the Polybrute is all the modulation sources and stuff. But for me, that kind of gets in the way of the playing. I quite like a simpler synthesizer, because for me it's more about I can make a sound and then play something. I get a bit frustrated with trying to send oscillator 3 to that to get that to do this.
No,
and I'm not very good at it, which is I think the main reason. My brain doesn't work like that.
Do you have a Mini?
No, I've never had one.
It's just the way he's sitting.
Hey,
Beard all week.
What's this Apple Q button here? No, it's kind of. I've never kind of. Again, it's sort of. I had a Voyager for a while.
Okay.
But they're just hard to keep in tune. They kind of get a bit out of. They get a bit drifty, and then apparently to tune them all up again is a nightmare.
So come on, what's the next one you're going to click buy on?
That's a really good question.
How about a nice Prophet 5 Rev 2?
Rev 2.
Fully working.
Would you know, actually, funny enough, I was this morning looking at getting another Prophet 10.
Oh,
I
right.
did have one, the Rev 4. I did kind of
the proper Prophet 10 with the dual manual. Or
no, well, I know that Richard's got one for sale for £1 billion, isn't he? RL.
Yeah.
No, I like the 10. I had a 10 and I got rid of it, and it was one of those synths where the moment I got rid of it, I thought, oh, that was a mistake.
Yeah.
So I think if I was going to get anything, I might get another 10. That would be that's probably next if I can find a bit of money
with the 50th anniversary Lacewood.
Or
just a regular one.
Do you like that? I'm
no.
Not sure
I think it's horrible.
It is. I looked at it. It looks like it's like got candle wax on it or something.
It looks like it's been beaten up by disenfranchised smart meter fitters.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a really bad advert for Hammerite, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I looked at that and went, no, you're all right.
For an extra $1,000? Nah.
Exactly. No, I think that might be what it is. I know it's a bit of a boring answer, but I think you've got to have a profit in your life. All right.
I agree. I
do.
Cool stuff. Listen, Jem, it has been, as always, an absolute hoot to have you on. It's a real joy, a real pleasure. Don't leave it so long next time.
I'm sorry about the microphone. I'm sorry about that.
No, don't worry about that.
That's all right.
Just do that electronic album, okay?
All right.
And then come back and tell us about it in, I don't know, I'll give you 6 months.
Yeah, you're not the first person to say that to me.
But no, certainly, tell when you've got something new, do let us know. You're always welcome to come on and tell us all about it.
I appreciate it. Yeah, okay.
I hope you have a fantastic and quiet, relaxing end of the year, because I know you've had a real busy one. But thank you for that, because that is incredible.
I appreciate it. Sorry, Ken. Yeah, I know you probably could have walked the dog or something, but I'm sorry that you've just sat there.
That's all right.
Me doing this, me giving it all that.
He was about to tell you all about why you're wrong about Mini Moogs.
Very interesting. No, it was interesting. It was interesting. I enjoyed it.
Good. Excellent.
Come back again soon, Jem.
If anybody wants to indulge in the world of Frost, and why wouldn't you? Frost.live is the website. Go and check that out. You can buy all the content from there, and go to YouTube, listen to the video, or watch the videos, listen to the songs, stream it, buy it, do whatever turns you on. It's a brilliant album, Jem, and thank you
very much. I appreciate it. Take care of yourself, boys. Thank you
too.
very much.
And you, mate. You look yourself.
Take it. All the best. Thank you.
Good seeing you again.
Cheers,
care.
mate.
Cheers.
God bless.
Cheers. Bye. And he's gone. Jem Godfrey, everyone. If I had the applause buttons working, I would play them.
We'll do that.
What an absolute legend. Absolute legend.
Who was he?
No.
What?
Great guy. Great musician. And if you haven't already, please, just give it a stream. Don't have to go and buy it. Just go onto YouTube. You can stream the album for free there if you don't mind a couple of adverts. You will be blown away by the musicianship, by the songwriting, by the production, by everything. It's such a good album. That has got to be in my top 3 albums of the year, for sure.
Along with The Cure.
Which is is hit number 1. Apparently yesterday, The Cure were outselling all the other albums in the top 10 put together.
Wow.
So like numbers 2 to 9, add all of their sales up, The Cure was selling more. It is a brilliant album. And if you haven't watched The Cure's show at the Troxy, which was just last week, it was a week ago today, it's there on YouTube, 3-hour show. incredible, just absolutely incredible.
Bobsky, bless him.
Indeed. So that, Underworld and Cure, I think probably the top 3 albums of the year. Anyway, let's round off, because I've got a bladder that's fit to burst, so I need to get through this next half hour pretty damn quickly, otherwise it's going to be messy as all hell.
I think it'll still take half an hour.
Well, yeah. We
could carry on without you if you need to make a quick.
Well, you might have to, actually, because we have got a little bit of news, and I think the first thing that we should talk about is this thing, because I think we've all got skin in this game. Actually, no. I'm going. Let me think. How long is this video? I need to sort of.
Trying to calculate the P time.
I used to work in radio, and I used to back time, right? I used to back time.
Yeah.
I could do it without a calculator. I could do it all in my head. I've lost that skill.
Brad's thing should
we do that? And then that'll give me a chance to go for a Jimmy Riddle. Okay. So we'll do this first, and then we'll do Synthspirations, because we've got a really good Synthspirations, and I really don't want to miss that one, because even though I've watched it, I want to watch it again with all of you guys. So yeah, Brad Holland, who has been on this show, who is a wonderful supporter and genius of a man and a lovely geezer, he has released an update to the Caladan, which he came on and told us all about not long ago. And you might remember that the Caladan is based on a synthesizer that was a Kickstarter project, and then Brad bought all of the intellectual property and has developed it, and he's going to be putting these different voice cards in. Each one will be doing different things. The really good thing about this one, the what's it called again? The Quadrowave, is it's been designed by the legend that is Paula Maddox, and as we all know, Paula is a flipping genius when it comes to synth design, and she's designed this card. And here, whilst I go and relieve myself at the facilities, is a demonstration of the Caladan Quadrowave card, which is coming soon. love that little bit at the end. I'm not done yet. Paula, brilliant. What do you reckon?
It's
interesting stuff, isn't it?
Yeah, it's very reminiscent
of.
Well, Andrew, I played it to you yesterday. That video.
Yeah, you did.
Of the Anaglyph digital oscillator.
Oh.
Yeah.
And it was very. I think only about 6 people in the universe have heard that video, and it was very reminiscent of that. Yeah.
Very
interesting.
Musical resonance on the filter as well. But yeah, very similar. Very similar to the Anaglyph digital oscillator, mounted in cardboard. I love that.
Yeah, I know.
Circuit board built on cardboard.
Well, the breadboard hadn't arrived yet, and I thought, I'll just get it going. So I did it through cardboard. Worked a treat.
Did worked a treat.
Yeah. So go and subscribe.
Do we know when?
No, we don't. It's going to be sooner rather than later, I feel. But go and subscribe to the Isla Instruments website, and you'll get all the updates there from Brad. And we'll try and get. I mean, Brad's a big supporter of the show, so we'll definitely get him back on to talk about this when Caladan is nearing completion, nearing release, or whatever. He'll be sure to come over here. But please do go and like and subscribe to the Isla Instruments channel to keep abreast of all of that. But yeah, it's super exciting. That's Caladan, I think, is going to be a bit of a game changer. And I know that term is cliched, but I think it kind of is. Anyway, so that's that, which afforded me enough time to go and avail myself of the facilities.
Did you wash your hands?
I did, yes.
Okay.
I did. I managed to do that. So let's do this week's. I love the fact that we can do this, and we've got more coming. Thank you to everyone that's sent in Synthspirations so far. Before we actually play this week's Synthspirations, let's play the promo. We want to know what music inspired you to make music with synthesizers. Be it an album, single, or an entire artist's body of work, we want you to tell us why it inspired you, and given that we're a synth show, which instruments used on that album really made an impact. All you need to do is film yourself talking about your synthspiration for a few minutes, and we'll feature it on the show and discuss it. Send your video clips along with your name or handle to prosynthnetwork@gmail.com using a file sharing service like WeTransfer, and you could feature on a ProSynth Network live show soon. That's all you got to do. You've just got to put your mobile phone or whatever you've got that can film you, and just talk to us about your synthspiration. What album, what artist, what body of work, what maybe just one song made you want to go out and get a synthesizer and start making music with it. This week's Synthspiration comes from a very special friend of ours. He has helped this channel out no end through his work with Cherry Audio. It's Robert St. John, who you will see in the chat frequently, but he is he's the big sort of like marketing head honcho at Cherry, and he always makes sure that we've got all the information ahead of time, and he sorts out getting Dan and Mitchell on. He whips them into shape. But he's a big electronic music fan as well. And so here is Robert's Synthspiration.
So my Synthspiration began here with this blue box, which is to say it all began with Doctor Who. In my early teens, I barely knew the difference between an organ and a synthesizer. I'd already been a big fan of Doctor Who here in the States, but the Great Awakening came for me in 1980, and that's when a friend in the UK started sending me audio cassette tapes of the new Doctor Who stories shortly after they aired, but long before they made it to video here. That's also the year that the BBC Radiophonic Workshop came back to the series. So as I was listening to Doctor Who, what I heard more than anything else were the new electronic and synth-heavy theme and scores by composers like Peter Howe and Paddy Kingsland. And that quickly grew to finding out more about the workshop itself, and pioneers such as Delia Derbyshire and Brian Hodgson. And then I discovered Jean-Michel Jarre and Vangelis and John Carpenter, and suddenly I found the music of Pink Floyd and Genesis a lot more interesting. Now, I wouldn't get my own first synthesizer, a Casio CZ101 that I still have back here, until a few years later. And it was later still that I would even learn that my beloved new Doctor Who theme was performed by Peter Howe on synths such as the Yamaha CS80, the ARPA Odyssey, and the Roland Jupiter 4. The peak of all this was a few years back when, as director of marketing at Cherry Audio, I got to virtually meet and interview the same Peter Howe, and that's what I call coming full circle, which itself is also a Doctor Who pun.
I need to unmute myself there. There we go. Brilliant stuff from Robert. Thank you very much. I think most of us owe a certain debt of gratitude to the radiophonic workshop in some form or another, getting us familiar with electronic music and the use of electronic instruments in early sci-fi, certainly in terms of the small screen,
and all the Open University stuff they did as well.
Yeah.
It was. Yeah. Do you know? It just occurred to me as he was saying that actually the radiophonic workshop has been a bit under my radar. I mean, I've always acknowledged it as being the source of so much, but I wouldn't have counted it as an inspiration, except it was.
Yeah. Because
it was there. It was the backdrop, and it's almost like it has a separate place in the whole history and whatever of all of this stuff, because they did something quite unique with that, and so it's never quite sat in the same sort of the same space as the other artists that I would name, and I'm doing my own Synthspirations thing. So, Ken, what about for you?
The radiophonic workshop played a massive part in actually getting the word out there.
Yeah.
Because I was massively into synths, except I didn't know what they were. I just knew I was into them. But it was the workshop that brought that to the fore. So I was able to understand what it is that I was liking, literally. Because there was no other materials out there to let you know. Yeah.
No, it's had a massive, I think, whether it's a conscious or even subconscious influence, particularly for those of us in the UK. And it's what I really loved about that is, Robert clearly is from the USA, and yet the reach of the radiophonic workshop, we often think, certainly here in the UK, we often think it's a very British thing. It's like tea and cake at 4 o'clock. It's very British, and yet it has this global appeal, which is really, really nice. I had the great fortune of sitting in a room with Mark Ayres, who is the current custodian, or sort of head custodian of the radiophonic workshop, Brian Hodgson and David Vorhaus, in a green room backstage at the British Library, having tea and biscuits, very British, just talking about synthesizers. And it was the most mind-blowing thing to these stalwarts of electronic music. It's just a fantastic thing. So thank you, Robert, for that submission. Really super interesting. We've got more in the bank, so we'll have somebody next week. I won't spoil the surprise, but we'll have somebody next week. If you want to send us in your Synthspirations, and we've had 3 great ones so far, Robert, Peter, and the mystery Michael Myers, with his Halloween themed one. If you want to submit yours, all you've got to do is film a video, 2-3 minutes long. If it's a little bit longer, that's fine. If it's a little shorter, that's also fine. And you don't have to worry about big production values. I mean, Robert did a splendid job, and of course our friend Michael Myers did a brilliant job with his Halloween one. You don't have to do all of that. It's not obligatory. Just tell us what inspired you synth-wise, what pieces of music, what bands, what artists, what albums, what songs, and if you've got those things, show us them on the screen and just tell us your story, your Synthspiration, and send your video file via one of these online file transfer sharing services. WeTransfer is the most common one, but there are others available. Use one of those and send it to prosynthnetwork@gmail.com, where we can then download it, and we will feature it on an upcoming show. So we've got a few in the bag, but we would like more so that we can just put our feet up and not worry about it too much. But do please send us those. Right, we've got a couple of bits of news, and we've got about sort of 15 minutes to fill here. But like I said before, we've all got skin in this game. Steinberg, almost out of the blue last week, or this week, should I say, released the newest version of Cubase 14, apparently unlocking new creative possibilities with groundbreaking features, streamlined workflows, and intuitive design to elevate our music production experience. It's got a bunch of nice little extra bits and new enhanced features in there. But what annoyed me mostly about this, and we've got a tale of two sides of the coin here. So you might remember back in September, or around that time, Steinberg had an offer of, was it 50% off?
50% off?
Yeah, 50% off. And I had been sort of on the verge of saying, well, okay, if they do a really good deal, I might just dip my toe back into the Cubase waters, having been a big Cubase fan from version 3 back in the mid-90s, and then ditching it around, well, it was around the time of Cubase SX1, when I got absolutely fed up to the back teeth of having to update it every year at a cost of at least 100 quid. And back then I just couldn't afford £100 a year to update, so I kind of got fed up and ditched it. I got back into it in September of, in fact, I'll tell you the exact date. It was the 26th of September 2024. I bought a license. Downloaded it, activated it, was enjoying it. This comes out not 6 weeks, 7 weeks later, and I thought, oh, that's okay. I'm sure I fall into the grace period. I go onto their website and it says, click here to find out if you're in the grace period. I did so, and it told me I was not. I'd missed it by 13 calendar days. 13 days. Their grace period is basically 28 days. And I'd missed it by 13 days. Now, grand scheme of things, I only had to pay the upgrade price, which I think is 83 British pounds. And it's a business necessity for me. So, yeah, okay, that's fine. It's not a problem. But other people, I'm sure, will have missed that grace period by a similar amount of time because of the fact they had that sale on. Andrew, of course, you were spawning. I don't know whether you bought it or just didn't activate it in time.
No. What I did, I bought it because I looked on, I had 10.5 and I'd upgraded to 12.
Mm-hmm.
And I bought it, I looked on the website and it said, for an upgrade, this will, if you pay for the upgrade, it covers all of these, and it had all the versions it covered. So the upgrade was, so I bought it, and they wrote to me a little while later saying, when I tried to authorise it, it took a little while to authorise it, and they said that actually you're not covered for the upgrade. You need to, it doesn't work like that with this. I don't know why, but they said, look, here's because you tried to, and we understand you did pay, we're refunding you. If you use this code, you can go back in, buy it again, and we'll give it to you. We'll do it at 50% off. Now, it just so happened I didn't have time until about 2 weeks ago. Mm-hmm. So I upgraded to 30 right. 2 weeks ago. It cost me 74 quid for some reason, rather than 85, which it was previously. And I installed it, and literally 2-3 days after I installed it, I got this little notification from them that said, you can download 14. So it's on.
Yeah.
I've got it.
Well, yeah, I've got it too, and I haven't had a chance to really play with it. But that brings us to Mr. Spong, who is a lifelong Cubase fan, supporter, user, etc., who's had numbers of issues over the years with it on various machines. What are your thoughts on Steinberg updating Cubase? Because it doesn't seem that long ago that 13 came out.
13 came out 10 months ago.
Wow, is it that soon? What's going on?
Now, I know there was a lot of people complaining about it was crashing on certain platforms,
okay,
i.e. Macs. Quite a lot, apparently, and they were going to fix it. and they were having trouble fixing it. I must admit, when I downloaded 13 and put it on, the Cubase window would just flicker every now and again for no apparent reason. It's just like blah, 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 and then go quiet for a little while. Then an update come out and I put it on and everything was happy and, hunky dunky or spunky monkey, whichever you way. But the thing was, 13, right? I've put 13 on. All right, there's a couple of little bits in it. They go, oh yeah, we've updated this and we did this and we've done that and all the rest of it. And you go, yeah, it doesn't warrant putting the 4 on it. Mm-hmm. It's literally an update. There's something going on. So when I started reading the whole, ins and outs of it all, its main purpose is to remove the dongle support completely. Yeah. Goodbye, gone. We've shut down the servers.
Yeah, because that's
tough crap.
Shuts down early 2025,
right?
Doesn't it?
And everybody will then get on board with their new licensing software. Mm-hmm. And everything has to go through the downloader system and everything like that. So that seems to be the main purpose for it. Personally, I think it should just be called 13.8, not Cubase 14. But because it's been changed to Cubase 14, it means that if I want to install it, I have to pay 82 quid on something that I only bought 10 months ago.
Yep.
So...
Yes.
If it was, another company that were doing, it wasn't a software company, just a normal company somewhere, you'd be going around there and sticking chair legs up their arse at this point because it's not on.
No, I agree.
10 months. Bloody hell.
This is exactly why I jumped off the Cubase wagon.
Yeah, but it hasn't been like this.
Ago.
It hasn't been like this. This is new. 10 months. This is new, right? So clearly they just want to get everybody on, off of the dongles.
So do you feel that what this is essentially a cynical way to put out a bug fix and charge people for it?
Well, they've added some bits and pieces, but to be honest with you, those bits and pieces, I've seen more bits and pieces like that in an update, a standard update that you download for free.
I must confess that the audio side of it, the finding interfaces has improved massively under 14 because it was still not great under 13, and it seems to have taken a major step forward in terms of usability. You can swap, you can name, it's not quite as impenetrable as it was, so that's good. Love the modulators. Not really sure it's worth 85 quid. To be honest. I'm not sure why, I got it for nothing. So I was kind of great. If I hadn't got it for nothing,
but the problem for me is, a Cubase update comes along and it's like, okay, it's cool. All right, let's put that on, see what it fixes, and there might be a few little improvements here and there, or they've updated the pad shop 2 to something else or whatever. But they drop in the whole VST2 support completely.
Yeah.
And so that was another axe coming down. I think this is really its real purpose, is that they're just finishing these various bits of support within the software period.
And you know what? I can understand that, but it would be a bit. I'd like them to have been a bit more upfront about it. Most companies get to a point where they go, look, we can't, if we keep on trying to retroactively support all these different things, there comes a point where you go, no.
Yeah.
But could they not have been a little more upfront about it? And I think the answer is yes, they could.
Yeah, they could have been, but they didn't really.
Apparently,
I've been with Cubase since 91 or something like that. So I've been with it so long that I don't know anything else, and it's fine. But I must admit, I put the trial period on, which doesn't run out until about 6th of January or something like that. So I put the trial on because I go, well, I'm not buying it, not straight away anyway. And I loaded up the last project that I was working on, and it found everything, put it all in. Thought, cool. All right. So we're all good. But it's yet another bleeding, shortcut on the screen. So.
Yeah.
So they've got 12, 11, 11, 12, 13,
I found that
14.
interesting. I found that interesting. When I installed 14, I just assumed it would install over 13.
No.
It doesn't, and so I had to go off and delete all of that.
Yeah. I don't think it's done that since 7.
No, it's. There are some comments in the chat about various competing products, and it does make me think. Do you know what? With Logic, which is, I would say, my main digital audio workstation, you don't get any of this. I haven't paid for Logic. I paid for Logic once, and it was £200, which is less than half of a full price license of Cubase Pro. And we're now on the latest version. I've never had to pay for anything. Admittedly, the dongle for Logic is having a Mac, so there is that. But that's not the only one. There are others out there.
Yeah, but the problem with Logic is you don't get the exercise with Logic. You don't get the exercise. The bit where you turn around, bend over, and.
Well, I must admit, for me, I've backed myself into a corner by using Cubase only, ever, and everything that I have in terms of hardware working with the software has always been Cubase orientated. So I've literally locked myself in the box with this spider and hope it doesn't bite me, and it bit me. So there you go. But. Yeah.
I said as much in my email.
So.
Yeah, I said as much in my email to Steinberg, because when I found this out, I emailed Steinberg support and I said I jumped ship 20 years ago because of the same stuff you seem to still be pulling today, and I was hopefully expecting you not to be doing that, and you've just proved me right or wrong. I don't know, but and I had a similar experience back in 2019. They did a 50% off thing.
Yeah.
And I think I've said this before. I was in Canada on business. I didn't want to buy it in Canada because I didn't know whether if I bought it from the Canadian website, whether my warranties or whatever. So I waited until I got home. It was like the day after this promotion finished, unbeknownst to me. And when I tried to buy it, it came at full price. And I emailed them. And the response I got was, we can't do it because if we do it for you, we have to do it for everyone else. That was the wording of their response. When I emailed them the other day and said, look, I literally bought this 6 weeks ago, and now you're asking for another chunk of money to update. I don't have to update, I know that, but if I want to keep current, you want more money. And the response I got was exactly the same. If we have these rules and these limits in place, and if we make an exception for you, we have to make an exception for everybody else. And that was it. And it was just basically tough luck, amigo, off you go. So there you go.
Yeah, well, for me, Cubase is chocolate mousse. They go, oh, do you want another chocolate mousse? Oh, go on then.
Yeah,
go on then.
Yeah.
Better have it because it's there.
Cubase is a great platform to use. There are other options out there, and certainly a bunch of other options that don't seem to drain you from your bank account. But
all my compositions have improved greatly since I've upgraded.
There you go. That's all you need to know. But Cubase 14 is out now, and there are a bunch of upgrade options which you will have to pay for, unless, of course, you bought your version of Cubase 28 days or less ago. There you go. But it's available now from all good software retailers.
One.
No, actually, you can buy it. Thomann sell it, Plug-in Boutique sell it. Yeah, they all sell.
Yeah, but it all comes down the same pipe in the end, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
Same single controlled pipe.
We mentioned this last week, but we'll mention it again because we ought to. Full Bucket Music and the Broken Mini, which I know, Ken, you had to play with this the other day, and you actually said when it's behaving, it actually sounds like a really good mini mode.
It's
plugin.
Lovely. Yeah, it's actually quite a good sounding mini mode clone, isn't it? Yes.
Siri agrees.
I love the little, they're not so much broken, but sort of like, let's put some, weird sort of like
radio things on it.
Yeah, it's little bits behind some of the switches and stuff, and have a knob missing and
I
stuff.
thought
like
the
that.
radio touches were really nice.
Yeah, I thought it was quite nice. What I would have liked to have seen is for it to actually be broken. So
So you can go
VCOs keep drifting away by themselves, and you have to keep correcting them, tapping the side of it because the volume keeps disappearing or something like that. But then I thought, no, that's probably not fun. It wouldn't be. It'd be a busman's holiday for me. I'd hate it, I suppose. So I should.
Let me just.
But it actually sounded great. Had a bit of a Wakeman thing going on there for a while.
Yeah.
It was like, oh yeah, this sounds nice.
I mean, its main features are that it's broken, that it has a resizable user interface, but what for? And it also has MIDI learn, but why? Which just reminds me of that brilliant Ryan Reynolds meme that goes around. Beware of high voltage, wear safety gloves and goggles, and use it at your own risk. It's a bit of fun from the brilliant mind that is Bjorn behind Full Bucket Music, and it's completely free of charge. Have a laugh, and then maybe donate a few quid to Bjorn so he can carry on making wonderful synthesizers and instruments that he doesn't charge a penny for. So definitely go.
But do donate to him. Do donate.
But absolutely
it's
do
a cup
donate.
of coffee, even if it's that much.
That's all it needs to be.
I know we're getting close, but should we mention a certain auction that is going on?
We can do that, absolutely, yeah. It's coming to the conclusion tomorrow. Everything will start shutting down at 2 p.m. tomorrow. Here is that very white CP70B that we had on the show just an hour or so ago when Jem was here. It was sitting in the background. That's it. And it's, as you say, it's located in the UK. It has a starting price of £1,580, and I can tell you right now,
Weighs
that's a bargain. Yeah, it weighs that, but it's a bargain. And at the moment, nobody's bid on it.
No.
But what tends to happen with the Vemia auction is that people do wait till Saturday, till the last minute, and they do start throwing the bids in. So if you want that white CP70 as used on the brand new Frost album, Life in the Wires, it was used right on this very record, then you can go and do that. Go to the Vemia auction and bid on that. But there's also lots of other things too. Let's see. Go on, hang on. There you go. That's on there.
That's on there, and the PX7, which is over there. And
there's a bunch of other stuff that you've got on there as well, isn't there?
There's lots of stuff. Oh, I've got so much stuff on there. I've got the
stuff everywhere.
Samplers with the RFX chips, the original ones. I've got the 2500 is on there, the P2500, the Virtuoso, lots of sound ROMs. I've got some beautiful BM15A Dynaudio speakers that are up there as well. There's lots of stuff. There's goodies on there for everyone. And my Novation. I finally decided to get it. Oh, and I had this little beauty down with Kent. That's in the auction. It was down as having no battery, but it now has a battery, and I've just loaded it. And I'm just loading it up with the new presets, so it's on there as a steal at the moment.
What is it, a 550?
It's a 550.
Yeah.
It's a 550.
So basically D50 in the rack.
A beautiful thing, yeah.
How much is that on for?
I think it's on at 300 or something. Something like that.
That's not bad.
It's not bad. It's not bad.
Not bad at all. There's loads of other stuff on there. I mean, there are
most of it in my front room.
Yeah. There's 30 odd pages of it. Let me see. There's 1,142 items in this auction. So what happens with the Vemia auctions, if you are unfamiliar with these, is that these lots will start closing from page 1 at 2 p.m. tomorrow. They will start closing in sequential order. And if you're the highest bidder when they close, then you win the item, and then you'll get an invoice and you pay it and you'll get your goods sent to you. Or depending on the item, you might have to go and collect or something. But Vemia do their very best to ship, package, crate, palletize, whatever that needs doing. There's some incredible stuff on there. we could spend an entire show, but I did promise Peter that we'd mention it again. Tomorrow is the date that they close. They'll start closing at 2 p.m. UK time, so make sure.
Is it every 5 minutes or every minute? I can't remember.
It's every
2 minutes, something like that. So
and each lot takes each lot takes about 20 seconds to close. So make sure you put in a healthy maximum bid to make sure that if somebody does outbid you maybe you outbid them in turn. And there's some brilliant stuff. There's synclavier systems on there. There is
$7 or $8 or something for a full synclavier system.
There's a DX1 on there that's dropped in price from 70,000 to 30,000. There's lots of great stuff on there, and it's not just synthesizers. There are drum machines, there are parts, there are components, there are manuals, there are sound libraries. There's all sorts of things in there. So go and check that out, because you could end up with a bit of a bargain. I've got my eye on a few little things there, so I'm hoping to come away tomorrow with some extra little bits.
Yeah, having decided to get rid of all this lot, I've now got my eye on a couple of things as well, because you can't not, can you?
You can't not look.
You can't not look.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So if you are interested in that, the website address is spheremusic.com, spheremusic.com, spheremusic.com. You can browse the auction without signing up for an account, but you do need to register an account. It's completely free of charge. You don't get spammed or anything like that. But create an account if you want to bid. If things don't sell by the end of tomorrow, then there is a second chance Sunday, so they will go back on sale on Sunday for one more time to see if they can sell that. So that's the Vemia auction. We are massively over time because we've had a fantastic guest, but I do want to mention, because we probably won't mention it next week because it will be old news, but Machina 3 came out this week. Again, slightly underwhelming update, but it does bring it sort of into line with similar objects. So you've now got stem separation in there, which we've seen come into the Akai MPCs. Lots of community requested features. That's available now. It's for people that are into the whole Machina concept. It's a wonderful thing. I've never touched it. But there's even more software included in this one there, but that's available. And I did also promise Dan that we would give this a mention. This is Dan Goldman over at Rhodes UK. The Rhodes Anthology is 4 classic and rare Rhodes models now in a plug-in. Ooh. So this is interesting. It's only $99.95 at the moment, which is reduced. I know we've got a plethora of Rhodes plugins out there. I know that Arturia have one, and there, of course, you got the. Are they still called Scarby or Piano Tech? I can't remember, but there's lots of them out there. Isn't it? Yeah, but this is the official Rhodes branded. So you get a 76 Mark 1 Stage 73, a 1965 Sparkletop 73, a 1984 Mark 5 73, and a 2010 Mark 7 73, all included in this package.
There will not be a Mark 2 in it.
No, there isn't.
Because they're bloody awful.
Indeed. And you mustn't forget that also you've got the Pro version of the plugin, which includes the version 8 of the latest version, which, by the way, I never shy away from plugging Dr. Mix, because Claudio is a wonderful, energetic force of nature, but he has had his custom Rhodes Mark 8 delivered, and there's unboxing videos on his channel, so go and watch that, and watch a little Italian guy get very excited, and I can relate. I can relate to that, so he gets very excited unboxing that. I think that was pretty much it, apart from I think we do absolutely need to, one more time, we need to mention our merchandise store, because I said I would.
I think you should, because we've hardly heard about it.
We've hardly heard about this. The Pro Synth Network merchandise store has been open for just over a week now. We have got an absolute ton of stuff in there. So everything from Christmas jumpers. And by the way, if you want the Christmas jumper, I will say this again, you need to get your order in within these two dates if you want delivery before Christmas. Yeah, 15th of November. So that's a week today. So next Friday. is the cutoff for standard shipping, although it then goes on for another week after that if you want to pony up for the express shipping. So the cutoff for that is a little bit later. It's currently available in sizes small through 2XL. Other sizes are currently out of stock, but they might come back in, but I can't promise it. But yeah, Christmas jumpers, they are there. They're incredibly good quality, so I'm told. I haven't got one yet. But we've also got dresses, we've got mouse mats, we've got laptop sleeves, we've got pet collars, we've got the Justin Have You vest top, we've got the buttons that you've got there, you've got the dad caps, we've got the bucket hats, we've got the denim jackets, we've got the cagoules and the polo shirts and the mobile phones, and this is what I'm going to be getting. Going to be ordering one of these very soon. Matt Evans has just asked in the chat, do we do Pro Synth Network earrings? I think there were some earrings in there, but they might have been like a special order items. I will look into it for your daughter. I will definitely look into it.
Albert rings?
No.
Okay.
No. None of that stuff. None of that stuff. And of course, it all links to all of our shows are on there as well. But there's T-shirts and all sorts of, just loads of stuff on there. So, as I said, we've already had lots of people purchasing. There's Mal Meehan with his T-shirt and mug. There's Steve with his T-shirt. Scott McCauley, look at that lovely Polyroot 12. Can't wait to hear that sound set with his T-shirt and mug. Keith in Watford's got his customary orange shirt, and I am planning to do a Keith in Watford collection. And Bert, aka Asio Head, has got his shirt. So thanks for those. Yeah, and if you have bought merch from us, do make sure you take a picture of you wearing it. We might even run a competition at some point next year. The most exotic location where somebody's pictured wearing or brandishing Pro Synth Network merchandise. That would be right.
I'm not gonna show you my haul.
Okay.
I'm not.
Okay. You don't have to.
No.
Yeah, you don't have to.
Kent, tell him.
Yeah.
By the way, sorry, I was with Kent yesterday, as you probably know. I know we're overrunning, but I just wanted to check something with you. In your gentleman's room, in your bathroom, there was an OB12. Was it okay to accidentally wheel down that because it cleared all the other stuff off? Was that all right?
Yeah, that's fine. It's ties.
Oh, fine.
I'm not bothered.
Good. Just thought I'd ask.
With his ties, yeah.
Yeah, it's ties. He's got another one.
Yeah. And he generally urinates over his stuff.
Yeah, well,
Anyway, on that note, we will say goodbye. Thank you, first of all. We need to say thank you once again. If you joined late, you missed 90 minutes of brilliant information and entertainment from the legend that is Jem Godfrey. So once we finish here, rewind, go and watch the interview with Jem. Go and buy the latest Frost album by Jem and Nathan and John and Craig, because it's an absolute stonker. We can't wait to get Jem back on, but thank you, Jem, for joining us. We love having you on. I hope you all enjoyed that. And we will be back same time, same place next week. We'll have another episode of Synthsations for you to devour. And don't forget, if you want to send in your Synthsations entry, all you got to do is just film yourself for a few minutes talking about what bands, what songs, what albums inspired you to get into making music with synthesizers, and we will feature it on this show. Email it to prosynthnetwork@gmail.com and send it via a WeTransfer thing.
We should do a competition for a jingle for Synths.
We try to say my jingle's not good enough. What are you trying to say?
Synchrotron tomorrow at 10.
Yeah,
Synchrotron tomorrow afternoon
at 1 because of the time change.
Clocks are put back for the colourblind farmers.
Pub?
There will be a pub.
There will be a pub.
So
lots of stuff happening.
Lots of stuff happening tomorrow.
Indeed. So join us all for those things.
Join us right back on Sunday evening.
Get Jervis as well. Absolutely. Mustn't forget Jason, who joined late. So I'll be having words.
Jason.
I'll be having words, boy.
We will.
And we will see you all very, very soon. Take care and have a fantastic weekend. Make lots of music. And we'll see you all very, very soon. Bye-bye.